Hello guys, happy morning. In this section, we don't have any assignments, but we'll just understand about the UV little more deeper. So whatever the object you create over here, you can see the UV on your UV editor. It is there in a UV editor. Now, in this UV editor, we have some options. Anyway, it's fine. So this is the first is a wireframe. The second one is the shaded. So in this UV, you know that the blue is right and then red is wrong. Okay, now we'll go a little closer to this mesh. You can see this mesh has a UV. And then in this UV, you can see a little line over here. This is actually a seam. Okay, now we select this. It is a middle of the UV. But what is the border of the UV? All the borders, it looks a thick line in the object. So that's called a seam. Now you can see this particular UV shell as a borders. And then this as a only one UV shell. This borders is a seam. Now, if I double click in the middle of here and then shift right click and use a cut. Okay, now go and select your object and check. Now you can see over here a thick line and over here it's another thick line. What it means, it has a two shells. Right click, UV, double click UV. Now move UV. And then this is another shell. And this is a seam. Now you can see there's two seams in this one. And normally we try to minimize the shells. Minimize the shells. Why? Okay, now we apply a material in rendering, apply this material and go here and apply a checker. Can we apply the checker? Okay, and then press 6 to see the shaded mode. You know that 4 is a wireframe, 5 is a shaded mode, and 6 is a texturing mode. Okay, what happened here? You can see this checker suddenly got cut in between. So the continuity between this and this got distracted because of the UV has become shell. Okay, so how to avoid it? We have to move closely to this each other. Try more closer. Okay, now we solved it. But for one shell, it is fine. Suppose this shell is somewhere over here. It is not that easy to exactly fix and move by using this move tool. And it's taking much time, isn't it? So that select this particular border. So what I'm doing is selecting this and press shift and double click here. Then shift right click, move and see UV edges. Okay, so shift right click, move and save UV edges. So this will come and move, see. Then you can see how beautifully the continuity is created. Only one area you won't get any continuity. That is nothing but a seam. And definitely a UV will have the seam because it is a flattened version of the 3D object. So when you flat, definitely somewhere will be the border. So seam definitely a need. It is, I mean, we have to try to minimize the shells to get the continuity. Now, this particular shell need to be inside of the 0 to 1 space. So we are going to use the layout UV, Control L, and then or modify layout UV. Click here, it's become a 0 to 1 space. So it is called using your 0 to 1 space. You have to exactly use the 0 to 1 space. For an example, this big of 0 to 1 space, and you are decreasing this particular area or wastages. So better to use overall 0 to 1 space properly. Now we create a box. Now you can see this. The box is already unwrapped. Whatever object you create, it will by default, it will get unwrapped. In a create tab in polygon, in a cube option box. In this option box, it will ask you it's by default. It is a 111 height, width, and segments. And down here, you can see the texture mapping, create UV by default. Suppose if it is off and you're creating the cube, you won't see any UV. But by default, it is on. So when you create, the UV is here. So this object, we don't have the UV. So why we need a UV? Without UV, we cannot able to see the textures. So I'm going back to the material over here. I'm going to use the same material which already I created. It's a checker. I'm selecting all these objects. Right click on the material, assign material to selected. Now you can see material, and there is no material. Are you sure there is no material? No, you can see that the material is assigned to the selected, of course, but we don't have any UV. So without UV, you cannot able to see the textures. The example, if I increase the transparency, you can see this object also getting transparent, isn't it? But why the texture is not applied? Because UV is not there. Only you can see the color. So break this, change the color. It will reflect. Color is it's fine. But if you want to apply the textures, any texture, maybe I use a ramp. You can see the ramp here, but no ramp. Right click, break connection. I'm breaking the connection between the ramp and this material. Click here. I'm using the checker. Now, how to get this texture over here? Of course, we need a UV. How to create the UV? Of course, we need a projection. How many types of projections are there? Cylindrical, planar, spherical, and automatic. This three is a projection is fine. Cylindrical projection, planar, and spherical projection. What we are going to do is planar projection, but I do a spherical projection. How it looks like? See, it's a spherical projection. The left side, right side is fine. Top and bottom is wrong. Okay, select the top face and bottom face and use the planar map. Planar map option box, top to bottom. Which axis is it? Y axis. So Y axis and project. So I can see the UV is fine. UV is fine here, UV is fine here. But UV as a condition, isn't it? The first condition is UV should be inside of the 0 to 1 space. This is a 0 and this is a 1. But you can see the 0 and UV is away from the 0 to 1 space. Okay, the second condition is we should not reverse the UV. You can see that the particular place is reversed. So what's wrong with that? If you apply a textures, not this one, maybe I use a different textures. Okay, this texture. Can you able to read this? You cannot able to read this because it's a, yes, upside down. Because it's reversed. Because the face is red. Unless until you flip, and you can check now. Yeah, now I can read. So if it is red, all the texture is reversed. You cannot able to read it. So other area you can read only where it is reversed. It means the red color. So that's why we need to make all this red into a, yes, blue color. Now select Control L. It's a layout UV. We are layouting it. Now you can see this continuity is good. This continuity is good. You can see this is continue from here to here because of the UV. Select this, as I said, cut UV and select this, move this in a different scene. You can see that. So what I need to do is select this edge, shift right click, move and save UV. Then you can see the continuity. So we need a continuity to continue the textures. So UV continuity, a texture continuity. So reduce the shelf and then keep all the shelves inside of the 0 to 1 space. Can we reduce this? Of course we can reduce this. Shift right click, move and see. And then this one, shift right click, move and see. Then select this UV and snap. Use the snap towards left side, and this one snap towards right side. So select everything again, Control L. It's a layout UV. Now you can see it's a texture is continuous. So that is the usage of the texture. But by default, when you create this is also a right UV is right because you can see it's a 0 to 1 space, it's not overlapped and there is no red color. Okay, but according to the size, we changed according to the size. It means rescaling. Suppose if it is like this, you can see all the shells. Is it? Does it look same? No. So we have to unwrap the UV according to the size. Now take the cylinder. Okay. No way you cannot attach this shell and this shell to this area. So sometimes you can see that the shell is need to create the shells because of the projections. Top projection, bottom projection, and then it's a cylindrical projection. So no way it is going to be attached. So for a cylinder, of course, we need a 3 shells. Cone, top portion, and bottom portion. And then torus. How it is looks like a square and it looks like a torus. Yeah, we can do that, but it's a process actually. But this is the idea, the UV, if we have flattened this, it looks like this. And then plane, our plane is a plane, it's fine. Disk, you name any object. If all the object has a UV. Why we need a UV? Yes, for the textures. Okay. In this sections, you need to practice the UV for a box, and then you have to practice the different projection methods. Cylindrical, planar, and spherical. Please try it. It's just a overall idea about the UV. UV is necessary for creating the texture. Okay, guys, that's it.